Uh, we're, we're allocating $12,000 for cash assistance to families in these project schools. And just curious, is there a precedent in our budget that we've ever budgeted for cash assistance payments to families anywhere? And I'm just curious.
I'm not prepared to answer that. I'm sorry.
Not that I can think of, but generally, no. I don't think so.
I mean, is this something we've agreed to already, that we're now asking for funding, or is that a discussion item? I mean, like I said, it's a small item, but I think we're sort of establishing a precedent if we haven't done it before, that we, today it's $12,000, maybe next year we'll say, let's budget $200,000 for cash assistance to families, and I'm just not sure whether or not that's an appropriate use of school system dollars.
I understand your point. We've not made I've not made any agreement to guarantee that. Or perhaps Mr. Bowers has a comment here.
Yes, I
have. Trying to move on, Mr. Bowers.
Certainly haven't made an agreement. I mean, again, we're looking at the program. We're looking at enhancing the program, both in the Kennedy cluster as well as expanding the program, and looking at some opportunities for making it successful. So I think we can take a look at this. Certainly a good question, and give us an opportunity to take a look at it and get back to you.
So could I just, on that issue, I know that the issue of cash assistance has really usually been in the purview of HHS, right? And I know that given we've been partnering with them in the Kennedy Cluster project, I think probably the issue is how does MCPS help assist in this process, given what's our contribution, and so from that vantage point, I think I would support us doing it. I hear your concern, one, that we haven't historically done that, but two, and also we've got to be careful that it doesn't become well, if you could do that much, why don't you double it next year? Why don't you double it? I think we do have a responsibility, because these are and I mean collectively along all government agency, children and families, that our contribution specifically in that area be limited, but I think it is important for us to look at what we can do, because one of the things I know, and I've been to not the team meetings, but the leadership meetings for the Kennedy Cluster Project, one of the issues that we definitely deal with is just the challenges that these families have and the immediacy of those challenges many times. So I think it would be helpful for the board maybe to get a little bit more detail in terms of how the funds are used and understand that. And then I think probably we need to, and I will definitely take on some of this to report back on some of the discussions that have been had. But I think when we look at the potential expansion going to Watkins Mill and then making this contribution, it is, I don't know that this becomes the camel's nose under the tent, in the sense that, and now it's all going to be on us. But I do think in terms of this one, it may be worth it for us to look at that contribution to assist, because there is a lot of pressure on other agencies.
Ms. Brandon.
Just to add to the conversation, I know when we had our cluster meeting with the Kennedy Cluster a while ago, there was a lot of discussion about things that came up that clearly are related to the educational mission, right? We had stories about students who needed a pair of glasses and couldn't get a pair of glasses in order to be able to sit in class and participate, or kids who couldn't come to school because they didn't have a winter coat. And so I do think that we do want to have the conversation so that we understand, but I think the connection is actually very direct. And so I feel comfortable that we look at it very deliberately, but it seems that I think the connection to what we're trying to do, to me it's very similar to the things we talk about in terms of the whole child, in terms of participating in summer feeding programs that are, slightly outside the purview of an instruction in a classroom, but clearly related to the well-being of our students. Or when I think about our truancy court program, and sometimes it's purchasing an alarm clock to make sure the student wakes up and comes to school. We need to really understand those connections.
Ms. O'Neill?
But there are other areas. I mean, the issue, the coats and the glasses, that we participate through the MCPS Education Foundation with Neediest Kids.
Right.
And that's exactly what that does. So, I think I do feel a little odd about the cash assistance. I understand the needs, but I don't know. We've got, lots of clusters where we've got lots of kids who are in similar positions, and I know schools that are participating with Friday Backpack with Manna, for hunger anyway. But the neediest kids is something that throughout our system can help provide the coats and the glasses.
We'll get back to you with more detail exactly what the intent of it is and all that.
Dr. Doc?
I just wanted to say that once again, it mirrors the work that is done with linkages, because it is HHS that's involved, and they do provide funds for some of the families. So I think they really are related in many of the things they do.
Mr. Barkley?
Just to follow up, and I know that Dr. Starr has already said we'll get back. I think it's important for us to understand in the response to understand how the resources are used. So because it's I just again am a strong believer in the multi-agency team and the work that they've done, the benefit that they've definitely brought. And we don't get to hear too much about this, but the benefit that they've brought, for example, to our PPWs, when now they have that single number and that person and kind of a single point that they can go to in HHS when they need assistance, and the collaboration that has happened that I believe is giving benefit. So I don't want us to lose sight of that, and I don't think anybody is saying there's no benefit there, but I do think we have to figure out new models to help us address kind of the bigger picture. And I think part of this is MCPS. That's not the most popular thing to say, but we do have the largest amount of resources of any of the county agencies. So while I understand we want to be fiscally responsible, I think it's important for us to remember we're talking $12,000, not $120,000. That doesn't mean we are irresponsible even with the $12,000, but that contribution, when you think of it, it's probably not a lot that is going. It probably would double the pot, and I don't know that, but I would like to know the total amount and understand that.
We'll get it.
Yeah, I'll be happy to get back to you with that information.
Seeing no other